Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to show you these 4 new palettes from Makeup Revolution. They're all from the My Sign collection and I've been playing with them for the past few weeks. So I can tell you all the good stuff and bad stuff about the palettes, and I will show you all the swatches and how they apply to the eyes. First, let's talk about the packaging. They all come in these cardboard boxes which are cut out in the front so you can see your palette, and here in the back are all 3 signs that the palette represents and a short description of the sign. Inside that box is your palette. It has 15 shades in it. This is how it looks like, and it doesn't have a mirror or anything, which I don't really mind because I usually don't use these mirrors anyway. I bought these palettes because of the beautiful shades, and I also love the variety in each palette. For example, this is the Air palette and it has beautiful blues in it, but it also has pinks and grays, so it's not all in the same family, and it's the same with every other palette. For example, the water one, yes, it's more on the green side, but it has a pink in it and an orange one and a gold one, so you know you don't get a boring palette that has all the shades kind of the same. Most of the colors in the palettes are pressed eyeshadows, but 1 or 2 shades in each palette are baked, which I think is a fun addition to the palette because they have a slightly different finish. They're a bit more pearly and they feel a bit more lightweight than other shades, so I think it's quite fun that they added that to the palettes. But there is something that I know so many of you will not be happy about. There is almost no matte shades in these palettes. Some have 1, some have 2, and one of them has none. I wasn't so bothered by that at first because I like wearing only shimmers on my eyes sometimes, but when I do that, those shimmers need to be very lightweight and sort of sheer, and these shades are not. They're actually very pigmented, which is good, but they're so pigmented that they're kind of hard to blend, and especially if you try to layer them, it starts looking kind of heavy and a bit muddy and, well, just really hard to blend, as you will see later. So I think these palettes would be better used in combination with some other matte shades, so you can really blend all these beautiful bold shades properly. Now let me show you these beautiful shades. I'll start with the Earth palette. This one has 1 matte and 1 baked eyeshadow, and the rest are shimmery. And here are the swatches. The first row, as I said, are 4 shimmers and 1 matte. Then the second row, the first one is baked, it's a bit more golden one, and then you have 4 shimmers. The last row has darker shades in it, and I have to say that I'm quite disappointed by 3 of them, by first, third and the last one, because they're a bit glittery and gritty and they're not so pigmented as the others. Now let me show you the clip of how the Earth palette applied to my eyes. It went on beautifully, and because there's 1 matte shade in it, I didn't have so much problems with blending. Next is the Air palette, which has the best variety of shades because of its pinks, blues and greys. It has 1 baked eyeshadow which has small golden veins in it, And this one, I'm not quite sure whether it's matte or not. If you look very close to it, you can see some shimmer in it, but when I swatched it, it looks completely matte, so I'm not really sure. I don't know, let's call it matte. The last three shades are very creamy, and that's why they would probably be better applied with a finger. The first shade is baked, it looks silver, but it still has a hint of gold in it because of those golden veins. And the blue shades are absolutely gorgeous, except the last one, which is a bit gritty and it can apply patchy. And for the end we have this beautiful grays, and as I said before, I'm still not sure whether the middle one is matte or not. It's time for the clip of how these eyeshadows apply, and let me tell you that I struggled quite a lot with it. The blues were so pigmented that they just didn't want to blend properly, and the more I was blending, the more I was blue all over, so next time I need to go in with much lighter hand. Next palette is Water, and this is probably my favorite one because I'm a sucker for these green shades and it's so hard to get a palette with so many greens in it. The first shade here is Baked and it's a bit more golden, and the rest are shimmery. As you will see, there is no matte shades in this palette. This is my favorite row. I mean, look at these gorgeous greens, but I would suggest using the last one with a finger because it's quite creamy. Here you get another baked shade, it's the pinky one and it's so pigmented and pretty, but my favorite one is the fourth one, the dark teal, which is so beautiful, but I think it's better applied with fingers because it's again quite creamy. Unfortunately, I don't like the last shade because I think it's a bit gritty and not so pigmented, the same as with some other shades in other palettes. And the last palette is Fire, and I think this one is the best quality. It's because it has 2 matte shades, which makes easier to make more blended eye looks, and it doesn't have any shades that are not pigmented or that would feel gritty. First shade in this row is Baked, and it's a beautiful golden shade but a bit less yellow than the one in the Water palette. Other shades in this row are very creamy, so they would work very well with a finger. In this row you have 1 matte shade, the slightly pinkish one, and look at the first shade. That's my favorite shade in this palette. It's absolutely gorgeous. Here is another matte shade which is very pigmented, so use it with the light hand, and I would suggest using a finger with the last one because it's very creamy. Here's the clip of how the Fire palette applied. I did have some problems with blending because the shades were so pigmented, but I think it all worked out in the end. So these were all 4 palettes and they're absolutely stunning. Most of the shades in here are very high quality, but just use them with a light hand because they're so pigmented, as I said so many times before. That's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe so we can see each other again. Bye! Inside that box is your palette. Oh, it's quite hard to open. And it has beautiful blue, but there is something, but